and today we are going to rescape this tank. This is the little 35 litre blackwater tank, and what I've found with this one in particular is that the pieces of bogwood that I've popped in here, they just don't work with the kind of fish we've got in the tank. As you can see from the video, it's very difficult to see any of the fish. The Cardinal Tetras are known for hiding in amongst the foliage, and with this tank, unfortunately, what it means that they're doing is they are hiding most of the time behind the bogwood. So if I just zoom in here slightly, fundamentally the little patch that they hide in is towards the back there. You can just about see down the bottom there a little hint of them in the back. So it's not particularly great as a tank, because we can't actually see all the fish. The main reason why we actually put the bogwood in here was to hold the peace lilies in the top of the tank, as you can see on the right and left corners there. But I think what we'll do for this one is a slightly different scape. I'm going to try something similar to a Dutch style, quite simple planting, just with groups of the same plants in the different spaces around the tank. So I'm going to reuse the couple of cryptocorynes you see in the front of the tank there, and I've got some stem plants to go in the back. And what that means is that there'll be enough plants in there for the cardinals to hide amongst, but they will still be visible to us when we want to sit here and watch the tank. So I'm going to show you the breakdown of this one. There won't be a lot of talking during the breakdown because there's not much space, and so we will get that one so that everyone can see what I need to do. We'll see in a bit. Right, so the first thing that I'm going to do is take out as much of the water as possible into the bucket so that the fish can stay in there for the short amount of time that I'll be building the tank. So now we've got all of the plants out of the aquarium, I'm going to see if I can catch the fish and pop them in the bucket, and after that I'm going to try and do a bit of a clean of the sand. So I'm going to use the same substrate as I did previously, and hopefully that will help with the beneficial bacteria remaining in the tank. You may be wondering why I'm using such a slow siphon to get the water out. This tank over its life cycle has actually been a really good breeding spot for shrimp, and there are tons and tons of tiny baby shrimp in here at the moment. They are virtually impossible to get out with the nets, So what I am doing is essentially being quite careful as I'm siphoning out the water here. Because we will be using the substrate, all I will do is I will just make sure that I leave a little bit of water in this tank, just so that the shrimp will survive while we are replanting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to push all of the old substrate towards the back of the tank and leave an open area in the front of the tank for the shrimp to stay while I'm doing the planting. You'll see that this was a no filter tank because I had the peace lilies which do natural filtration of the water. In this new scape I will be setting up a filter which will go on the left hand side. That will be an internal filter, but it should be a little bit more easily accessible. But I'll show you that later. In the meantime, let's give the shrimp some space in the front, and then what we can do is when we start filling it up a little bit more later, we will fill in the front with some nice clean sand. So we're just going to pop the filter in to just make sure it's in position. This is a Aquatropic Easy CF1, which is an internal filter, but it's got a little flap at the top, and it's got a fine filter floss. It's got a phosphate catch in it and some beneficial bacteria towards the back. It should be easy to maintain because, as you can see, it's a relatively small area where this is held, so it actually will make it easier going forwards. So I'm just going to pop this on the left hand side there. And I've just noticed, as you can see in the video, all of the shrimp that are remaining in the tank are towards the front now, up against the glass. So I'm glad we kept a little bit of water in there. What we will do is we will clean the glass in a minute, which will add a little bit more water to the tank, which will be less mucky, and so it will gradually kind of dilute the kind of bad stuff in the water. Eventually it obviously will be capped over, and the filter should take most of that out, so hopefully, cross fingers, it will work out all okay. Actually, I've just worked out it will probably be better to do a glass clean before I try sticking the filter onto the side of the tank, so we'll do that now. So this is clean water, but it is dechlorinated because we've obviously got the shrimp in here, so just making sure that we don't add any chemicals that might do them harm or kill off any of the beneficial bacteria in the substrate. So the filter is quite large for the tank, so I have put it on in a profile fashion so that it's not so obvious. Still not sure about that yet. I might turn it round so that it faces the front. We shall see. I've popped the heater, sorry, totally forgot what it was called then. Put the heater over on the right hand side this time. With the way that I'm planting this tank, I'm hoping to cover up the majority of the filter and the heater with the plants by situating most of the plants in front of them. So we'll just see how we go with that, and hopefully we'll be able to block out that sight line. Before we put the plants in, we're going to pop in some root tabs. This obviously substrate has been in place for a little while now, so the nutrients that were in it previously will not be, really there won't be much left. In addition, we didn't put a huge amount of nutrients into the system in the first place because so many of the plants were either epiphytes attached to the wood, or it was the peace lilies that were coming down through the water. So we're going to need to put in a little bit more of the root tabs in here. So we'll just break up a few tabs and dot it around the tank where the plant's going. We've got Ammania senegalensis. This is a larger stemmed plant. It should go slightly pinkish, the stems, and the leaves should go a golden colour. So this will be quite nice. Because it's quite big, we're going to pop it over to the left hand side in front of the filter, so that covers that up a bit. It's not travelled well particularly, so some of the leaves look a little bit damaged, but it's got roots that are coming out of the base of the plant, so I think it should do fine once it's been planted. We have got the Ludwigia palustris super red. and this one we are going to be putting in towards the middle of the tank, which is where the light is centered over, so that we can try and maintain that red appearance. We've then got Hygrophila polysperma, so I'm going to pop that one over the right hand side of the tank, and that should push out nicely. We will then have some Cryptocorini, a little bit more towards the front, just to give a bit of variety of leaf shape. So as I said, we've got 3 stem plants here. Stems are really good for kind of taking nutrients out of the system, so they will help out the filter for a bit, with the idea being that I should be able to snip the plants when they get a bit too tall and replant them to give a bushier appearance in the tank. So I'm just going to pop a couple of the rocks that we had previously in the foreground, just to give it a little bit of interest, but after that, that is pretty much done. As you can see, we've got a nice simple scape here. We've got a couple of crypts in there as well, just in the foreground, to give it a bit of different texture, and hopefully with that super red being in the centre, we should get it staying nice and red. I'm putting some of the old water from the tank back in here at the moment. I'm hoping that it will have retained some of its beneficial bacteria. Usually works quite well for me doing this. Basically putting some of the old water in the tank just helps keep it balanced, bearing in mind that we're putting the fish straight back in afterwards. It will probably look a bit cloudy, and it will probably be a little bit black water, but the filter will clear most of that because it's got a fine floss in it. We will need to probably change the filter media a little bit sooner than you would normally because of this, but to be perfectly honest, I would rather get the fish in and back into an environment and not in a bucket on the floor. They've been in the bucket for about an hour. So I am going to have to acclimatise them, so what I'll end up doing is I'll pop the heater on once this is filled, and then I will pop them in a jug to acclimatise them to the water temperature before I put them back in. What I'm putting in here is tap water, but I've got a handy little API water conditioner, a mini, I don't know whether you can see that there, no, it's not zooming in, there we go, a little mini one, which is 1 drop per 4 litres, which works out quite well for when I'm using my little jug to fill the tank. So I'm just putting in 1 drop for every jug that I'm filling this with. And that's the filter turned on. As you can hear, it's a silent running filter, which is ideal for the bedroom, so that is perfect. Now what I'm going to do is actually take some of the water out so that I can put the fish in a bowl in the water, and so the water doesn't overflow the top of the tank. So I have to apologise because I forgot to record the acclimatisation, so I am just going to put the fish in now. I'm going to actually pour them out into the net because I did scoop up a lot of detritus from their bucket at the same time, so I'm going to pour them into the net and then put more into the tank so that you can see them. and I've just decided that's not going to work because there are so many baby shrimp in here that I'm just going to have to put the detritus in. Obviously the fish are very stressed out and will hide for a bit, so I'm going to leave it to settle for a bit, and I will pop a couple of bits of liquid in here to help out. So we'll get some beneficial bacteria in here, and we'll get a little bit of the Aquarium in here to try and clarify the water slightly. So this is the following day. As you can see, we've still got a little bit of misting in the tank. I expect this is probably due to some bacteria die-off. I have just done a 50% water change, which hopefully will help, and I've popped in some mini water lettuce to just help out with the cycling, because it's a relatively new cycle. It's the only thing that is the same in here is the substrate and the rocks. You can see that the Ember Tetras are a little bit braver than the others, but we do have the Cardinals starting to come out of their hides a little bit. They are still very shy, that's expected of the Cardinals, but hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we might be able to get some more fish to dither fish, they're called, to just encourage the larger, more shy fish out. So yes, this is the finished tank. I'll just get a little bit of video for you. So I will stop talking now, and hopefully we will see you again soon for the next one. But until then, just enjoy. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.